We declare without equivocation that God the Father and his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, appeared in person to the boy Joseph Smith. When I was interviewed by Mike Wallace on the 60-Minute program, he asked me if I actually believed that. I replied, "Yes, sir. That's the miracle of it. This is the way I feel about it. Our whole strength rests on the validity of that vision. It either occurred or it did not occur. If it did not, then this work is a fraud."
So plain and precious. Finally, the Book of Mormon is the keystone of testimony. Just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church stand or fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. The enemies of the church understand this clearly. This is why they go to such great lengths to disprove the Book of Mormon. For if it can be discredited, the prophet Joseph Smith goes with it. So does the claim to priesthood keys and the revelations and the restored church. But in like manner, if the Book of Mormon is true, and millions have so testified that they have the witness of the Spirit that it is indeed true, then one must accept the claims of the restoration and all that accompany it. Yes, my beloved brothers and sisters, the Book of Mormon is the keystone of our religion, the keystone of our testimony, the keystone of our doctrine, and the keystone of the witness of our Lord Jesus Christ.
We should also be cautious about the motivation of the one who provides information. That's why the scriptures warn us against priestcraft.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. In the 80s, the Deseret News, reported by Hal Knight, well, it's actually Church News. Church News staff writer Hal Knight reported Utah finds 1828 writing by prophet. Which prophet? You mean the prophet? Oh, well, he didn't have enough space. And so the main picture, photo by Jed A. Clark, shows, as the picture description tells us, President Spencer W. Kimball looks at paper with magnifying glass. And it's not the document that they show below the title of the article. That's a different paper. Because the paper below is 2 pages. That's one. With magnifying glass, flanked by Mark Hoffman. Left, who found it? President N. Eldon Tanner, President Marion G. Romney, Elder Boyd K. Packer, and Elder Gordon B. Hinckley. We all know, and this is why the church wants this kept hidden in the secret, just like they did the documents that Mark Hoffman gave them. They were forgeries. Mark Hoffman forged documents, claimed he found them in the library, in the books, and went to fool the living prophets of Jesus. And they believed them. They are caught red-handed, red salamander-handed, being deceived. And this, with the internet, went viral, so that everybody knows the church is a fraud. What's important is that the 1828 document is significant, because the oldest document of church history is July 1828. No, not Joseph Smith's 1838 visions. July 1828 is the oldest document. And so Mark Hoffman, knowing this because he was born and raised Mormon and was told this his whole life growing up, made the document from 1828. The one in the article is the Anton manuscript. The Salamander letter is supposedly a letter by Martin Harris. Section 3 from July 1828 is Martin Harris having stolen the 116 pages, being called a wicked man. Paying attention, Oaks? Great nephew or grandnephew. Containing what is called the Book of the Eye. And so you might think that section 10 is just put out of order. Shortly thereafter, because Bruce R. McConkie put revelation given to Joseph Smith, the prophet, at Harmony, Pennsylvania, in the summer of 1828. Oops, wrong, 1829. The church knows this, not just because it's been in our church history the whole time and it was in this rank order, chronological order the whole time, but it's in the Joseph Smith papers. Yeah, in chronological order this whole time. 1829. This is wrong. This is an error, and the church will not correct it. They had an opportunity to correct it twice. They can do the correction anytime they want if the president announces it. They refuse to do it. They're leaving you to believe it's 1828. I'm willing to bet that the Doctrine and Covenants Come Follow Me said it was 1828. Let's find out. There's the one for the Old Testament. Doctrine and Covenants. There's elevator music in Tron Ares. Hilarious. Alright. Covenants 2, 36, there's 10. February 10th through the 16th, page 44. God. There we go. All right. Can I zoom in, please? Calling Martin Harris Satan's influence. A betrayer. Are they just going to ignore it? They're just not going to talk about the dates. Is that how far you've descended from the scripture tests that you did for seminary back in the 80s? You don't even give dates anymore? Historical context, background, gone. Yeah, they take out dates. Because now we're on to kids. And so, yes, by doing that, they're making you believe that what's in our scriptures is correct and doesn't need to be changed. And that kind of a problem is why Mark Hoffman did what he did. Dumbass. You had him, and you blew it by trying to cover it all up and hide it by blowing people up, and then you blew yourself up. Dumbass. You had them. You had them. When the bishop caught on to you, when others caught on to you, all you had to do was come out and say, yeah, I fooled the living prophets of Jesus. They've been lying to us. And so I used their own abuse back at him. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. What a loser. He could have been popular. Everybody would have loved him. And now he's a loser rotting in prison if he's not dead yet. Just stupid. So, how do you know what is a forged document? Mark Hoffman caught on that the church had been lying to us about church history. How do we know? Are there others in the Doctrine and Covenants that are misleading with a typing error? Just a coincidence that it's a typing error and nobody has ever caught it. That Bruce R. McConkie knows no better now than he did then that he didn't know. How do you know? How can you identify words that are wrong? This is basic doctrine. Basic. So, do you want the old and busted gospel, or do you want the restored gospel version? Because they're both the same, plagiarized. Basic doctrines. Every Mormon should know this. I shouldn't have to do these kinds of videos anymore. I should be talking about how to get you in an exodus to Zion. And instead I'm fooling around with basic doctrines because Mormons who are full-grown adults have wasted their whole life. Because of the deception and evils of this church. Beware of false prophets. Oh. Hello? And you're all acting like Danites. And so this is very concerning for me. Doing my videos, I have Mormons who act exactly like Danites. Their ancestors who framed and blamed Joseph Smith, who had him murdered, who put him to rights physically, that which the Danites didn't believe was right. To cleanse white supremacist Christian nationalist terminology, Joseph Smith and his church of very great evils which have hitherto existed among us. And so the Danites are the ones who are beaming moting here. Oh, that's right before verse 15 that I just read to you. The Danites are accusing Mormons of Joseph Smith's religion when they themselves are not able to be put to rights by teachings or persuasions. And so they had to militate against Joseph Smith and his church with a secret combination. Thanks to the Joseph Smith papers, we know the names of all the disloyal Mormons who betrayed Joseph Smith. Right, Governor Cox? Sister Mendenhall? What is your maiden name? Is it Mendenhall? Is Mendenhall your married and maiden name? You're keeping things a secret from us when we all know you're a whore. But, yeah, the police finally did clean out. Well, they didn't clean out, they just removed the homos. Still a mess. But you get the city workers to do that, don't you? Or is it a volunteer group? That's not police work. Yeah, it is. At all crime scenes, a special unit for the police department has to go and clean up the crime scene after it's finished so that traffic can resume. Even though we don't call a car collision a crime anymore. Somebody made a boo-boo. So, I shouldn't have to do these videos. Shouldn't. He talks about wolves in sheep's clothing, false prophets. A prophet is a certain kind of person, but this test works for everybody. This isn't exclusive for false prophets. You know, true prophets are excluded. By putting false, he presupposes this is how you catch them. But you don't know until you run the test. So anybody, and it's for anybody, you don't have to predict the future to be tested. But testing somebody who says that they've predicted the future is the easy thing here. There are other words that are more complicated and require a different form of research to figure it out, rather than just waiting for the day and the hour for the prophecy to come true. So yeah, Catholics avoided that by saying no man knows the day or the hour, writing it on the document in their publication of their Bible. Have selected scriptures that they chose based on the first creed of Christianity. And so Jesus, in case anybody saw those pretty pictures all lined up in a row in the other video the other day, Christians claim Jesus is the prophet. Jews say no, because the Jews run the test. It's amazing. The Jews don't even allow Matthew because Christians got it. And so the Jews don't claim it as part of their canon because of Christian corruption and tampering. And yet the Jews, by tradition, know how to run this test. Because a Jew wrote this. And Christians botched it, but they all know about it, and they'll apply it to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as all Mormons should have. But in so doing, Christians belittle the man like Moses, who is the Jewish Christ, whom the Jews are waiting for. See, the author of Matthew, who's a Jew, is not talking about literal history. He's talking about the future. He's giving a prediction of the future. He's a prophet who wrote the book of Matthew. He had a vision in the likeness of things on the earth and predicted the future of the Jewish Christ coming and gave us calendar dates and clock times so that everybody can know the day and the hour of when he would come. Using Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian and Greek. He's a seer, a prophet, a revelator, and a translator. Spirit! Talking about the head of the church, the man like Moses. And Christians utterly destroyed him with Jesus. belittling him, demeaning him, replacing him. And so who appeared to Joseph Smith and told him, verse 19, basic. All Mormons fail because you didn't even bother to run the test. Basic. And so, Mormons do the same thing. Leaders of the church. Jesus is the head of the church. The prophet is just the prophet. Look again in verse 91 of section 107. Oops. By their fruits. The word likened unto a seed. The fruits of the word is the results of the word. So how do you know if the word of wisdom is true? You just pray and get the right feeling? Or do you obey it? Do you hold to its rod to get to the tree of life? To find out if abstaining from sugar, caffeine, is true. Those aren't the words, are they? It's not even hot drinks. Coffee and tea is hot drinks, but you have to know that coffee and tea were a different kind than they are today. And so yes, that's been Mormon's issue. And then there's that alternative, I can't remember what my grandma had in her cupboard that was way expired. Oh my God. I saw my grandma's cupboards and I purged. Oh my God, it was just so gross. Oh, just spoiled, rotten. Oh, Grandma. I understand you were a victim of World War II and the Great Depression, but this is going too far, Grandma. And yeah, she was all alone now, and yeah, she was in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, but oh, Grandma. Anyway. And so it's not, outward appearance actions. Faith without works is dead. That's not outward appearance actions. Christians botch that by saying you have to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. No, you need to get the results. You're not done yet. Matthew 23, Jesus rips the Pharisees a new one for their outward appearance, walking the walk. You must find out the conclusion. So with somebody who's predicting the future, yeah, you wait for the day and the hour. Did it happen? Yes? Great. He's a true prophet. Now you have to obey him. Sucks to be you. If it fails, oops, false prophet, you can burn him at the stake as a witch. But Mark Hoffman used this doctrine for the other version. There are no calendar dates and clock times in his forgeries. He's claiming that those were the words of the actual person signed who's making those claims. That Joseph Smith III, to the second, ow. Oops. I have to know the date of it. Do I have it in this file, or was it archived? How would it be labeled? No, I don't have it archived. Okay. All right. Well. Do we need to look it up? Because it's kind of important, because he says Joseph Smith III is supposed to be the head of the church. Joseph Smith III died, and that's when Martin Harris stole the 116 pages. Kind of important to know the timing of that, but that's what you do with linguistic testing. Are the facts presented in the document accurate, or did they screw it up? You know, like Jesus being born on December 25th, 1 CE, when Herod the Great had been dead for years. Kind of important to get factual information correct. So I think that clarified that for you, so I don't need to go searching for the date of the salamander letter claim. All right, so do I really have to go over this basic doctrine, or do you understand it now? So how do you know if our whole Doctrine and Covenants is true, or if it's a forgery? If it's not by Joseph Smith at all? Or which ones are Joseph's and which ones are forgeries? Because Mark Hoffman caught them. Can you catch them? Do you know which ones they are? Give you a hint. I read to you from the Danites from 1838. That was actually written about 40 years later. And contains the forged documents that I'm referring to. All right there in the Joseph Smith papers. Thank you. So the first one we go to, section 115. April 26th, 1838. When did Joseph Smith work on the first vision? Yeah, a couple days before this. Verse 1 was written already when section 85 or section 115 is claimed to have been written in that journal by the Danites. Anybody know the significance? You're not following along? Nelson said it at the pulpit of conference to change all the names and the search engines to support the church as the one and only true church on the face of the earth. Oh, Google. Oh, Google. No. You crossed the line, you bastards. And Google was being upset with me yesterday trying to access Google. They were not happy with me. Exposing them. I'm a special church service missionary. For thus shall my church be called in the last days, even the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Is this true? Is this by Joseph? It says, revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet. Is it true? If you went through the Joseph Smith papers, you'd know this was a lie. Because Joseph Smith published the first vision with the second vision and the other visions in 1842. Joseph Smith got to edit it, and he did not make the changes that Willard Richards did directly to the document. Well, Willard Richards didn't last that long, so it wasn't 40 years, but yeah, there's darker ink over lighter ink. And so, yes, Willard Richards on the original document wrote in Jesus Christ because it was the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Joseph Smith knew it. 2 days before he supposedly gave this one. Yeah, you're getting the point, right? Or are you going to act like a Danite towards me? See, this is why Mormons have to commit crimes against me, to commit violence and abuse, because they know they cannot defend the church. They are silencing me on YouTube to cover up and hide the truth from the world. See, Alessa, yeah, she exposes the church for their stupidity and their evil, modernly. But as long as they protect the lie of church history, they think they're safe in preserving the church. Now, why is this? Because of Benson. Back when Benson was the president of the church, he was all Book of Mormon, 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 Book of Mormon. And he said that the Book of Mormon is the test to know if the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true, and Joseph Smith is literal history in his visionary accounts. That the Book of Mormon is literal history, and therefore everything else is true. That's the test. No, you didn't teach the doctrine of the restored gospel, Benson. The Book of Mormon is one test. Joseph's visions is another test. The church is another test. They're all separate tests. But because the church claims that the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith are literal history, oops, we can run the test on either. And all we need is just one example of how it is not literal history, that it is an error, that it is incorrect, because that then says that the whole book or the whole document is not literal history. Not a fraud, not a forgery, just not literal history. That was the specific test that Benson had us run. Just one. And so everybody knows that exfos have found many plethora of not literal histories in the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith's first vision. Oops. Therefore, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud, as Gordon B. Hinckley said. He used the visionary account to be literal history to prove the church is true. Otherwise, it's a fraud. I've got the clips. You know, if you've been following me, that I've been showing them to you. This is all basic doctrine. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has proven itself to be false. A fraud. They're lying to us. But what ex-foes didn't do, and I did, and they can't understand me, is you don't know what the Book of Mormon and the visionary accounts are. You ran the test that the church claimed, and you found out the church isn't true. But what is the Book of Mormon? What is Joseph Smith's visionary accounts? Are they by Joseph? You got to run that test, because people are making claims. Church made the claims. We can't trust them anymore. Anything the church has said has to be removed from your equation. And so when the church says that Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon by the gift and power of God, you have to delete it. Delete it from the programming. Your leg has been chopped off. You've got a corruption in your program. Well, leave it to Disney to tell us that AI that is currently destroying everything is eventually going to produce avatars that are going to murder us. And again, run the test of the word. Go back to the core. Is AI real? No, it is not. AI says that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the only true church on the face of the earth. And ooh, I just ran the test and went, oh, whoops. All ex-foes know the church isn't true, and yet Google AI says it is. The church news about Mark Hoffman proves, not confirms, proves the church is false. And yet AI has said, as the supreme intelligence, smarter than humans, that the church is the only true church on the face of the earth. Because the test that's in the old and busted gospel was not programmed into AI. It is incapable of being an intelligence. It regurgitates what the programmer put in it. And the programmer was a Mormon, and the Mormon programmed the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the one and only true church on the face of the earth. And Google didn't touch it to correct it. And exposes AI as the fraud that it is, that I've been warning you about for years. I run the test, and AI fails. It is a false prophet, and therefore we need to burn it. So, real simple test. The Joseph Smith Papers. This was never the name of Joseph's church. Never. Joseph Smith would marry somebody in 40 to 43. Marry a couple, a monogamous couple. And Church of the Latter-day Saints. in the 40s. But Brigham Young was saying that he's got a license to go to Europe from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So Brigham Young was still cooing Joseph Smith after Joseph Smith got out of Liberty Jail. Still going behind Joseph's back, betraying Joseph. Times and seasons, coincidentally, curiously, whenever Joseph was gone, they called Joseph Smith the seer. When Joseph was in town, they don't even mention him. Very interesting. And yes, when Joseph was gone, their meetings all had the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When Joseph was in town, yeah, they didn't even bring that up. They covered it all up and hid it from Joseph behind his back while Brigham had fled the country again. He keeps fleeing the country when he gets busted for stuff. It's all section 119, or 16. Revelation given to Joseph Smith the prophet near White's Ferry at a place called Spring Hill, Davies County, Missouri, May 19th, 1838. Adam on Diamond, the secret headquarters of the Danites. Thomas B. Marsh's affidavit exposes this. He was the president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and he knew nothing about a church in Adam on Diamond because he couldn't even pronounce it correctly. It's what the Danites were telling him. And they oopsied in that same journal, saying that they took Thomas B. Marsh with them to Gallatin, confirming Thomas B. Marsh's affidavit as true. And George Albert Smith as the liar, pants on fire about defending his wife's honor and getting excommunicated by Joseph. See how vital it is to apply this basic doctrine, restored gospel in your daily lives? Not just say it in a rote prayer. Being a Mormon is easy, but the deceptions and lies of the leaders of this church is thick, like the pollution that the news will never tell us it is. Oh, the inversion is back. No, the inversion is the weather terminology that pushes down the pollution. That's the haze you're talking about. Utah has polluted their inheritances. Find that in the scriptures and you'll know what I'm referring to. This is their secret plot to overthrow the government of the United States of America in section 116. And they ran a test run in 1838. And so it's important to know the full historical context of the Danites and what they did to frame Joseph. And it goes all the way back to 1832, when Brigham and Heber joined. And I'm not going to do that 3-hour video again for you. Hint, hint. Section 117, July 8th, 1838, verse 11. Oh, yeah. Again, Thomas B. Marsh exposes this as a forged document. He's supposed to, Newell K. Whitney is going to go and be the bishop at Adamonte-Amen. And the Danites are the bad people who are doing the sexual abuse. Not just the militant, violent theft stuff, too. That's the Nicolaitan band. The Danites. Section 118. Is also a forged document. July 8th, 1838. Thus saith the Lord, let a conference be held immediately, let the 12 be organized, and let men be appointed to supply the place of those who are fallen. From the Kirtland Apostasy. But let my servant Thomas remain for a season in the land of Zion to publish my word. Under what name? They did eventually publish it, but not in 1838. Not by Thomas B. Marsh. It's the Elders' Journal that he's referring to. Let them take leave of my saints in the city of Far West on April next. The building spot of my house, saith the Lord. Let my servant John Taylor, my servant Johnny Page, and also Wilford Woodruff and Willard Richards be appointed to fill the places of those who have fallen. La, 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 la. Forged document. Who was with Joseph Smith and Hiram when they were assassinated? And what did John Taylor say? We were the only ones in the room when Joseph was shot. And Hiram. Can you say, oops, boys and girls? Very good. Won't you be my neighbor? Yeah. He died and then they made a movie about him. Section 119. This is a little bit trickier because in the journal they put this in the correct chronology. July 8th, 1838. But this was published by Brigham Young in 1844 rather than 1876, the year before Brigham died, which was when the journal was written. The first vision, or the visionary accounts of Joseph, had Willard Richards write in before he died in 54 or something like that. Which was an interesting death when I checked it out with the signs in the heavens. Very interesting. Because he didn't follow the curse of Joseph Smith, but he was the one who shot Joseph Smith in the back. Because I ran the test. Did you run the test? Did you check the crime scene and run a forensic investigation? No, I did. Quit arguing with me, you illiterates, Danites, enemies of America and the whole world. Quit arguing. You're the enemy. You're busted. Old and busted. I'm the new hotness. Section 119 claims to be from July 8th, 1838, published in 1844 in Brigham Young's Doctrine and Covenants. All ex-foes know how this is a fraud. The others, no, they have no clue. That was me that helped you out on that one. What thanks do you give me? All I wanted was one woman. Just one. I don't need any of you others. Just one woman. That's it. Is it too hard? Am I so hard to live with? All acting like Mark Augustine. Bastard. I want you to take away my agency and tell me what to do. Oh my hell, Elder. So, okay, let me tell you what to do. Don't go over to the teen girl with her girlfriends. Let's keep going. He just wanted to complain. What an ass. Mr. President, Travis is giving me agency. He's the reason why we don't have any baptisms, and every other companionship in the whole mission of 200 are getting 200 baptisms per month each. And we were getting 0. And so, yes, he was trying to vilify me to save his own hide. And so the zone leader came bursting in one morning. Where's the membership record? Or where's the investigator records? Over there on the table. Oh, you are working. Bleep you. So Cofford called me in. I understand you're good with records. Yeah. I've got a special assignment for you in the Bronx to finish off your mission. Okay. Everybody makes a big deal of things when they're not a big deal. I can fix it. Just ask. Just ask. Everybody has to make a big deal. No, we've tried everything. We know what's best. We're the ones in charge. But I can fix it. No! This is the best that can be done, but I can fix it. I can get everybody to Zion. I can fix it. I can save lives. I can fix the scriptures. Hello? It's real easy. No, this is the best. This is the one and only true church. You're old and busted. I'm the new hotness. So, all ex-foes know that this is a fraud. They still believe it's Joseph, but they know it's a fraud. Come on, guys. It is a direct violation of the Book of Mormon and of Joseph Smith from 1835's Doctrine and Covenants. This is a whole long list of crimes violating the laws of the United States. And I'm sure other countries too. A whole long list. And if I could find where I put my YouTube reference paper thing, notepad, I would go over the several pages that I listed of crimes. This is all a crime. And so when you combine it with Anamon Diamond and Newell K. Whitney, with Thomas B. Marsh exposing them, require all surplus property to be put in the hands of the bishop of my church in Zion. Thomas B. Marsh exposes this current church as well, because these Danites in 1838 running the test run on Joseph set the whole church in motion that exists today. Everything. These forged documents are a different religion. They're not Joseph Smith's religion. They're not Joseph Smith's restored gospel. Nothing of these forged documents is true. But this is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And these forged documents have been inserted into the programming to corrupt the whole system. And nobody sees it. Your leg is missing. Your arm is gone. You've seen Tron Ares, right? Because I'm last to see things now because I have to wait for the DVDs to come out. So this isn't a spoiler alert, is it? So yes, it was a week ago when I got it. Here I was last night watching it. Still working my way through Andromeda. And thought, I better get to these videos. Afterburn was the other one I also obtained. Very good. Very impressive. Samuel L. Jackson. He's talking differently these days. It's not the same Samuel L. Jackson voice that I've remembered and know so well. But, yeah, it's him. Maybe they're using an AI system for his voice. Maybe it's not even him. Maybe it's an AI Samuel L. Jackson, and he's not getting paid for this. Hollywood's doing that these days, and actors and actresses are getting upset. So yeah, this is also their plans for the kingdom when they conquer America. And because everybody's arguing with me, the church thinks that they're covering all this up by vilifying me, so that you won't see it coming. And then Travis told you so, and then you don't like it when people tell you so, but your life is now ruined because Travis knew how to fix it because he's the new hotness. You trusted the old and busted because you didn't bother to run the test. But it's a pattern match. 2 Nephi 26 on priestcraft. Tithing is for the priesthood. Priestcraft. All us ex-foes know this. And when the Irene paycheck stub got leaked, church shut them down. No more Mormon leaks. My home teacher knew about it before I did and came apologizing to me for it. Well, they've got to have a job to work. No, they're retired. Like you will be soon and not have enough money to retire on. Despite having a government job the whole time. And be forced to go and get work to supplement the incomplete retirement savings. I can fix it. Hello, I'm right here. I can fix everything. Real simple to do. Joseph Smith knew. And this destroyed it. Because section 20 is how, oh, you know the church isn't true because both Oakes and Anderson lied. They quoted from this, section 120. Forged document. Well, this isn't a forged document. But Bruce R. McConkie put in section 119 is what it's referring to. That's wrong. This is referring to section 42. That's why Joseph Smith didn't put it in. Well, it's 1838 also, July 8th. And that's why they dated the others the way they did. Because they had to get the chronology as close as possible to being correct. And still botched it in the journal when they put them in. Because you have an 1837 that's placed after all of this. Oops. So both Oakes and Anderson got up at the pulpit of conference. And if I were to keep going, I might find more who lie about this. They said that the quorum of the 12 apostles, which both of them were members of the quorum of the 12, have authority to touch tithing of section 119 to dispose of it. They decide tithing. That's why the little disclaimer, the small print on the tithing slips that we used to get, they decide how the tithing is to be used. If they want to launder the money, if they want to fund terrorism, if they want to practice priestcraft, they have authority to do so. And so they quote section 120. So pay attention and wait for the quorum of the 12 apostles to be listed here. Verily, thus saith the Lord, the time is now come that it, tithing, shall be disposed of by a council composed of the first presidency of my church and of the bishop and his council and by my high council and by mine own voice unto them, saith the Lord, even so, amen. Check your scriptures. I don't see the quorum of 12 apostles. They haven't corrected this in their AI programming. The high council is the quorum of the 12 apostles. Then what's section 102? Does not compute. Does not compute. this is how things can get fixed. See, right now, the church is scattered all over the world. The Danites themselves say that they're scattered. And they tell you to stay where you are. But they keep telling us that any day now, Jesus' burning glory is going to nuke the earth. World War III Armageddon. And you're leaving Mormons scattered around the world to fend for themselves in the Hunger Games. And what are they supposed to do when it's all said and done? When communications are cut, so that they have no idea if the church is still standing, because you scattered them. You kept them there. You didn't gather Mormons to preserve mankind from the extermination event that's coming. You let every Mormon fend for themselves in a survival of the fittest zombie apocalypse. And so after it all happens, is the church just not going to exist anymore? Like you said, you just want family groups to coexist in a Stone Age condition, surviving for their living, roughing it? Yeah. But if they can succeed, yeah, they will establish the kingdom. But everybody thinks it's in a certain place, and they're all wrong because it's Adam Diamond. But it's not. I can fix things. So this is the consequences of evil people. Just as Dillinger was, not Dillinger, it wasn't Dillinger, wasn't it? Because Dylan Hunt is Andromeda, but I think it was Dillinger, whatever the guy's name was, who killed Mommy. You killed Scully, your mommy? Are you kidding me? Spoiler alert. Yeah, and they set it up for Tron Ares 2, I guess, but still. Every single ward, because this is supposed to attach to Section 42, every ward is supposed to get a storehouse, and it ain't for Jesus. It's for the poor. The church's neglect, because they're practicing priestcraft, of which Oak said you shouldn't listen to them, runs deep. God. So, section 124 and 128 are of a different nature. This is January 19th, 1841, claimed to be by Joseph Smith. But you need to know the Danites, as I went over with you. You need to know about their plot to exterminate mankind, to blame Jesus for the burning. And so Jesus resurrects people from the grave as zombies. You need to know the bigger picture of the restored gospel, to know that that's all part of their coding for the coup, the mass extermination. And they're using that with their temples for prostituting women, because women have to stay home barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, not get a career. That's the Roman practice. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints only practices the abomination of desolation as performed by the Greeks in the Jerusalem temple. We are not happy with the Roman period time practice of men getting prostituted in the temple too. And especially not the Baccharian, am I pronouncing that correctly? Orgies. The Dionysian orgies too. That's the saying. Anyway, I'd have to explain it for you. But notice how the extermination order is referred to in here. Good job, Bruce. Because of increasing persecutions and illegal procedures against them by public officers, the saints had been compelled to leave Missouri. Danites, and this is a forged document of the Danites, because of baptisms for the dead to be performed in the temples. It's not what it was referring to and whatever. Why are they then baptized for the dead if the dead not rise at all? That's referring to the Egyptian practice. The dead body is washed in similitude of Osiris's being murdered by his uncle and his body being thrown into the Nile River. And then it's washed and anointed and then mummified with frankincense and myrrh and golden, whatever golden is. I know what gold is. I don't know what golden is. What kind of metal is golden? Well, it's sort of like copper. No. No. Joseph Smith said gold. It's a vision. Stick with gold. That's how Joseph can go running through the forest with 200-pound gold plates. Because it's a vision. You know, what you had this morning while you were sleeping in REM sleep. Whether you remembered or not when you woke up, that's another issue. And so, yes, the same thing. The whole doctrine of baptism is false by this church. Because again, we ran the test. The church is false. Everything they say is all wrong, all abominable, and all corrupt. Verse 19 in the first vision about Christianity. Just one thing exposes the whole church. But you still don't know what the truth is. But that's your clue when baptisms for the dead are mentioned. And only section 124 and 128. And they were put in Brigham Young's 1844 Doctrine and Covenants with section 119 for tithing. You have to pay to save your dead ancestors, or they're going to rot in hell with you. And then, yeah, this one is a big scandal. July 12th, 1843, section 132. There was an attractive redhead who was upset with all men because of the one guy who tricked her into giving her a baby and abandoned her. So other men have to suffer. She went around and said, no, it is not the law. Monogamy is the law. It's right here. No. Prepare thine heart to receive and obey the instructions which I am about to give unto you, for all those who have this law revealed unto them must obey the same. Verse 5, for all who have a blessing at my hands shall abide the law, which was appointed for that blessing. Verse 6, as pertaining to the new and everlasting covenant, it was instituted for the fullness of my glory. And he that receiveth a fullness thereof must and shall abide the law, or he shall be damned. So God damned is in verse 6. Verse 7, and verily I say unto you that the conditions of this law are these. It's the law, but it's a forged document. It was put in the year before Brigham Young died and replaced Joseph Smith's old and busted monogamy. And yet, because it was 1843, you've got all of these sacred loneliness, rough stone rollings, and no man knows his histories about how Joseph Smith was practicing polygamy in 1843. And in 1874, Brigham Young comes out in a conference talk and confesses Joseph Smith was too stupid to come up with this. I came up with it. God told me to practice it as I fled the country to England. No, you still lied. You joined the church with the practice. Your Danites are the Nicolaitan band, remember? And it wasn't just polygamy, it was orgy sex. Swapping wives, not just swinging. It was all forms of debauchery, sexual depravity. These Danites are pure evil. And this younger generation of sexual deviants don't know about this. Even though many of them are probably a direct descendant. This is fascinating from a sociological perspective, even though my brother doesn't catch it, and it's his job with the church to catch it. I catch it. It wasn't even my field, and I'm still better than you. I can fix it. It's real simple. Exactly. Because the church's teachings and practices are emulated by the members. That's why. That's why massage parlors are getting busted in Utah. They're just emulating the prophets. That's why we have MLMs in Utah. They're emulating the prophets. That's why crimes are in Utah. They're emulating the prophets. That's why rapes of girls are occurring. They're emulating the prophets. All of this is because of emulating the prophets. And yet the prophets will claim that's not what we said at conference. And they'll refer to specific quotes if they are ever confronted. So they throw you under the bus because you got busted. as they get away with it. That's the kind of church you want to be a part of, huh? Well, 15 million of us said, bleep you, we're out. But only I went to find out what the truth was. So yeah, all of this. And I have to keep reading Brigham Young's little black book of Epstein files. He made a record in 1845 and 46. John D. Lee was a clerk. Right, Senator Lee? Do you know this? You know about what he did to women and children on 9/11. That's why everybody in Congress doesn't like Lee. Because they know about his third great granddaddy. Especially after Netflix or Hulu did the Netflix, yeah, because I made the little clip of the trailer. And they didn't even have John D. Lee in there. Some other guy. That's not the way it is in the book. Who did this movie? Needs to follow the book. God. So yeah, very sad. Very sad. So now I gotta find those two video clips. Because you're not listening to me. You still have to first figure out that the church isn't true before I can then say, okay, this is how it is, and I've been telling you the whole time and you didn't believe. 10,000 evidences against this church. And ex-foes don't even care. Nevermos don't care. I still get people coming on saying, Joseph Smith raped girls. Oh, thanks for your false cliche. Go away. So yeah, the whole proxy marriages is part of the baptism for the dead. It's the same pattern. It's all tied together. There is a danger zone coming, Will Robinson. Danger, danger, danger. So yeah, Spirit. That's how you understand scriptures. Because it was written by a Spirit, you have to understand it in the Spirit. So there's your answer. Here we go again.